MLB trade deadline move that the Seattle Mariners need to make. Let's talk about it. So as you guys know, we are at that time of year where there are going to be plenty of rumors of what trades that teams should make before the MLB trade deadline. But truly, this move that I'm about to go over, which I'm sure some of you have seen already all over social media platforms, is truly one of the most realistic trades that I think the Seattle Mariners can make at the trade deadline, and it just fills all the holes that they need besides a reliever. Usually going into a trade deadline, the Seattle Mariners are pretty active. I know a lot of you don't believe that, but they are usually one of the more active teams at the trade deadline. But this is truly one of the moves that, in my personal opinion, can take them from being a playoff-ish contender like they are currently to really taking them over the edge and being able to compete for a World Series. Now, per this Jeff Passan article where he basically goes through every single major league team and discusses which player would fit that team the best. He also has a little sentence at the bottom that says, and executives expect Seattle to act aggressively, which I do believe to an extent. I believe it's finally time to really start moving on from some of these prospects to get some major league bats in return. And as you can also tell by that screenshot, the player that Jeff Passan was referring to for the Seattle Mariners being a perfect fit was Josh Naylor. Now, before diving in a little bit about Josh Naylor and the second player that I think the Mariners should go get in Eugenio Suarez, before we get into that, this is kind of what a little bit of a mock lineup would look like for the Seattle Mariners with the WRC Plus included. So leading off, you have JP with a 130 WRC Plus. Second, you have Josh Naylor with a 128 WRC Plus, Big Dumper with a 180, Randy Rosarena with a 133, Julio with a 101, Gino with a 140, Jorge Polanco with a 119, Dom Canzone and Luke Raley going back and forth with a 142 and a 109, and the lowest one on this list is Cole Young with a 66. But the pure point is if you look at that lineup going into a game, the team has an opportunity to do some damage. And yes, I did put Josh Naylor in the 2-hole over Julio because I personally think Julio needs to slide down until he can finally get into his summer groove where he gets really hot. But I would have Josh Naylor in the 2 spot because he offers power as well as a high batting average. But nonetheless, that lineup looks pretty dang good on paper. Now, really the biggest reason and one of the main discussions is the Seattle Mariners making a trade with the Arizona Diamondbacks is because the Diamondbacks just really can't figure it out. They're currently 46 and 47 and 4.5 games back of a wild card spot, as well as 9.5 games back of a first place in their division. So truly, they just have been one of those teams that has not been able to get hot and figure it out. They've just been hovering around 500 for pretty much most of the season. Now, the key to remember about if the Seattle Mariners were to go out and make this trade in bringing back Gino as well as getting Josh Naylor is that both of them will just be rentals. Each of them will be free agents at the end of the 2025 season. Now, do they definitely help the lineup as of now? Absolutely. But I do think that we should definitely debate in bringing one of them back. In my personal opinion, probably if you had to pick one, it would be Josh Naylor, just due to the fact that he is younger as well as he just has a much higher batting average. Gino still has tons of power in his bat, but I think he's just going to kind of be a guy that's going to sign a 2-year deal max with another team. But nonetheless, both of these guys can help the Seattle Mariners today. Now, going over some of their stats, we have Josh Naylor first, who has 351 plate appearances with 11 home runs, a 296 batting average, a 357 on base percentage, a 465 slug, a 128 WRC plus, as well as a 1.5 F/WAR. So he is definitely still having a very good season, even though the power numbers, in my opinion, for him are a little bit down. Now, let's talk about our old friend, Eugenio Suarez. He is having a monster season with 29 home runs, a 251 batting average, a 320 on base, a 563 slug, a 140 WRC plus, and as we know, he has a great glove as well, so his WAR is at a 2.6 F/WAR. Now, before you guys hit me with the facts of the reason they got rid of Gino is because all of the fly balls he was hitting were just warning track power. If you pull up his baseball savant in terms of his home run numbers, like I said, he has 29 this season, and if he played all of those games in a Seattle Mariners uniform at T-Mobile Park, he would have 30, so the power would be transferring just fine. So really the biggest thing about this trade for me is there's not too many seasons where you can kind of pinpoint one team who's kind of been on the fence of, will they be a playoff team? Are they going to sell? Are they going to buy? Which, based on what I'm seeing, it seems like the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to be sellers, and maybe not full-on sellers, but there's definitely some guys like Gino and Josh Naylor whose contracts are coming up that they are most likely going to get rid of since they have not been able to really figure it out. And in a very competitive National League, it's going to be tough for them to overcome that hump. But again, you do not really have a season where you can pinpoint one team and really just give them a lot of prospect capital as well as give them some major league backs in return, because there's some guys on this team that I definitely would be willing to get rid of to make some of these trades happen. happen, as well as giving up some major prospects if need be. But truly on paper, this is the definition of the trade that the Seattle Mariners need to really make them a complete team, at least from an offensive standpoint. The pitching staff has started to look a little bit better, but can still not figure it out on the road. But from an offensive standpoint, these two bats make your lineup 10 times better. Now, on top of this, I do believe that the Seattle Mariners will have to go out and maybe get another relief arm, more or less like an extended relief arm, because if you still have Gabe Spire, Mooney, and Brash to kind of close out your games, you're looking pretty dang good for the playoffs. But I think another relief arm could definitely come in and help this bullpen. Now, from Seattle Mariners standpoint, your two biggest holes right off the bat are first base and third base, just with a revolving door at first base. And to be honest, Ben Williamson has not been overly impressive from an offensive standpoint. Ben Williamson has looked absolutely great from a defensive standpoint. That's exactly what we knew him to be, was a great defender. But from an offensive standpoint, yes, he's hitting over 250, but he still only has 1 home run and 15 or 16 RBIs. So really just when he's up at the plate, there's no sense of intimidation or a guy that can change the game with one swing. Now you replace that 1 home run with a guy who has 29 home runs and who we already know is a great clubhouse fit. It looks like Gino is the perfect fit. But please let me know what you guys think. I just truly think, not even being over dramatic, that this is one of the most realistic moves that the Seattle Mariners can make before the trade deadline that can really just make their team so much better. Otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.